Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Loyal Sons podcast. It's your boy George Brisman. I'm in here with my boys Aaron Duncan, Stephen Frederick, and Denzel out here trying to show off his arms today. So,
Me too. Hold on.
how's everybody doing today, man?
Just trying to keep our heads up, man, for everything going on.
Man.
Yeah, man. Under these circumstances, doing the best I can.
You
All
know,
right.
crazy times, I'm sure everybody's seen, but it does kind of when you see there's always going to be the people that's just continue going to be negative, but you do see a lot of people. When I say people, I'm talking like white America actually stepping up and acknowledging that there's been a lot of problems going on in this country. So as long as we continue to stick together and don't let the narrative change and let this be what this is about. This isn't about the flag. This isn't about disrespecting troops and military. This is about holding America accountable and making sure that everybody is treated fairly, social injustice is stopped, and systemic racism comes to an end. And this country can be when they put pen to paper back in 1776, be what it legitimately is supposed to be. Everybody in here is free. Everybody's equal. We're all the same. Everybody's got the same footing. So with that being said, we're going to talk about a lot of topics today. We'll try to get everything in. We've got a nice lengthy list, see what we can get through. But Aaron, you want to start us off with our first topic?
Yeah, man. I think the one that's hot right now is Drew Brees, saying he's never going to accept somebody that disrespects the American flag. And, of course, we know that he means by kneeling during the national anthem at the beginning of a game. So what's our take on that?
Denzel, you're always the fiery one. Go ahead and get us.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so with that being said, with everything going on in the world, for them to bring up the topic of Colin Kaepernick taking that knee, Drew Brees, you should have known better. That's all I'm going to say. You should have known better. Regardless of how you feel about the American flag, your grandparents fighting in the Army and the Marines, we know for a fact, this has been 4 years in the making. We know. So you should know, too, that it has nothing to do with the flag. It has nothing to do with our armed services. So with that being said, you should have been a lot more prepared to answer that question. So I'd like to shout out his teammates, Malcolm Jenkins, that's the real brother right there, letting them know how they really felt about that and not sugarcoating the fact that their brother in the locker room, their commander of the team feels that way about what African Americans are going through on a daily basis. So with that being said, I was very disappointed in him. With somebody that I actually looked up to, was probably one of my favorite quarterbacks, since he's been in the league. I look at him totally differently today. And George said something about, how we feel about him apologizing, but how I feel, I forgive but I don't forget. And I won't forget that's how you felt before you received that backlash.
I feel like, man, he's doing the same thing that so many other people do, and we mentioned it's changing the narrative. Most human beings want to feel good about themselves. And so by him saying that he's not going to accept somebody disrespecting the flag, that means he can change the narrative and he can feel good about that instead of facing the real problem, which is police brutality and just everything else that's going on. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to face it. They want to change everything about it. When we said, Colin has said from the beginning what it's about. So it's not that he doesn't know. And he brought it up. That's the crazy thing. The question wasn't even about that. He took it there. Okay. And I think the only reason he apologized is because the backlash that he received, especially from his own teammates. He wasn't expecting Michael Thomas to come out and say that. And he really wasn't expecting Malcolm Jenkins to tell him to shut the fuck up. He really wasn't expecting that. So the backlash that he received, him living in New Orleans, which is in the South, and we deal with a lot of oppression and stuff down here in the South. That's the only reason he apologized. I mean, and I know they deal with oppression everywhere, but I'm saying it's deeply rooted in the South, and that's the only reason he apologized.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like y'all. I I guess somewhat disappointed. I can't say I'm fully disappointed in me because I don't know. I mean, it seemed like some of these athletes or celebrities, they kind of just real ignorant to what's going on outside of their own bubble. You know, it's kind of hard to even think that he could be in the locker room with all these black players and still not understand, you know, what the real issue is. You know, so as smart as I think Drew Brees is, you know, I just feel that he was real ignorant to the real issue. And like Aaron said, he just kind of trying to make himself feel good and not acknowledge the real issue at hand. I mean, because it's I just can't understand why he can be in the locker room and, you know, work hard with these guys every day, see these guys so many hours during the football season and still not understand what the real issue was about with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. I mean, and so it just really seems like he really don't care. I mean, because he still said the same thing. You know, he said what he felt, and the timing was real bad. I mean, I don't even know why he would really say that right now, especially with everything going on. So to me, that's really how he really felt. And he apologized because he got caught and, you know, people called him out for it. But, you know, that's just so easy to do right now. So I don't really think it was too genuine. I mean, he said what he said the first time because that's what he meant. But, you know, now that, you know, it caught people off hand, I think, you know, he want to come back and apologize because that's, you know, what you're supposed to do and everything like that. But, I mean, I really don't feel that he feels any different. Maybe he's just more aware of, you know, what's going on socially or just being more open to being aware, open-minded. Because, I mean, I think he's always known what's going on. He just didn't care to give it too much energy. So I just think that, you know, with everything going on and the teammates giving him backlash, like you said, Michael Jenkins, you know, calling him out, he just had to come back and say something. But I don't really feel that it was genuine because he said how he felt the first time, in my opinion. So I don't know. And like Denzel said, you know, I won't forgive him, you know, I guess I can kind of forgive him in a sense, but I won't forget what's going on, you know, and what he said, you know. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what that locker room is like and how that plays out, you know, this year.
In game 8, everybody blitz. Move out the way.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for him to come out against.
He's gonna get that Willie Beeman special.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My take on the whole thing is it was a perfect example. To be honest, I think it's what we needed to help make sure that this thing stays on track and it stays on topic. That had to happen so that we could point out once again and prove to people that you're not listening. When they asked you that question, he took it somewhere where he necessarily didn't have to, went in depth about his grandparents fighting in World War II. Like, Drew, I got great-grandparents that fought in World War II, and when they came back home, they were still called nigger and had to sit on the back of the bus and couldn't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of black families whose family members who fought in World War II. So that doesn't mean that by calling me in, this isn't about that. So I get what it means to you and your family serving. I get that. Trust me, there's plenty of black family people who have family members who served in this military. My parents, my mom was in the Navy, my dad's a Marine. That don't mean that, you know, they don't get looked at or treated differently just because they were in the military. So you miss me with that excuse. Like, and that's just, you know, there's no time for bias and ignorance. Like, either you with us or you not. And I think Drew found out real quick because his teammates showed him, like, bro, this ain't what this is about. This is not what we're going for. And I personally feel like it had to happen. I'm glad it happened because it gave us an opportunity before the season even started to miss us with that BS. Like, this was never about the flag. Y'all blackballed a man and took a man's career away because y'all were afraid of what would and could have happened and changed the narrative. He told you what his protest was for. And the thing about it, I forgot the young man's name. It was a young man in the military, a retired, I think he's a Navy SEAL, who told Colin to knee instead of sitting down because kneeing was less disrespectful. They had a documentary on that, on the two of them and the relationship that they still have to this day. And y'all still, when I say y'all, I mean the media and the rest of everybody in white America still allowed everybody for that narrative to be pushed and made it about it. And look where we at now. We could have been having a conversation a few years ago when Colin was trying to talk about it. We were trying to civilly do it. Now there's protests going on in America. And within the protests, there's a small contingent of people that are causing riots during these protests that are tearing cities up around America. And now everybody's upset. And I'm not letting the narrative change. Yeah, riots are happening. So what? Peaceful protests are happening.
Right.
That's what's happening first. And we're not going to lose sight of this narrative. And that's going to be my push for as long as I live, no matter what, because I'm pretty sure I'm barely probably going to see the ramifications of this change because I know it's not going to happen overnight. But I'm looking for the next generation of young black men and women that are going to live in this country. We cannot allow the narrative to be changed. So we're not going to let Drew change the narrative. And I'm glad his teammates called him out. I'm glad it happened. And whatever happens to Drew, like I said, do I forgive Drew? Yeah, I'll forgive him. I'm never going to forget it. I'm not going to buy into the system of holding things against him. But I do have to also look at him differently and at the same time. And like I said, he knew better. Well, he should have known better. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
He should have known better. I won't say he knew better. He should have known better. And we're not playing the narrative game. And if he can say what he wants, somebody say, oh, the media set him up for the question. That's his fault. Nobody set him up for no question because you're going to answer the question. You ain't 100% sure, just say I want to answer the question.
Exactly. Move on.
Next question. Next question. If you're not 100% sure, but you went up there with your strong family, military, and what it means to me when I put my heart over my thing. Okay, yeah. So what? You know how many people we know do that same thing, go fight in the military, and come back home and get treated like crap?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about the flag and it's about the military. We can talk about that another day, like how soldiers get treated when they get back. That's a whole nother topic for discussion.
Oh yeah.
I know it's like my grandfathers fought in wars. Plenty of black people fought in wars. And then World War II, the soldiers were even segregated.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. The same war your grandfathers fought in, the black soldiers weren't allowed to commingle with the white soldiers. And we're supposed to be fighting for the same cause? But America
Fighting for the same country.
The same country? But America's great. Come on now.
And then after Drew Brees, we have Aaron Rodgers step up. And his quote was, a few years ago, we were criticized for locking arms in solidarity before the game. It has never been about an anthem or a flag. Not then, not now. Listen with an open heart. Let's educate ourselves and then turn word and thought into action. So that's his take is completely different from Drew Brees' take. So how we feel about Rodgers? I know it's going to be a different feel, of course, but what's y'all take on Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers gets vilified sometimes by NFL circles. I mean, he's touted as one of the best quarterbacks, but I feel sometimes like, when you say best quarterbacks in the league, they automatically run to Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's, Drew Brees, the name that they put out there, and Aaron, they like Aaron, they respect Aaron, but Aaron always gets like a backhanded comment, oh, he's a bad teammate. No, I think Aaron just keeps it real. And I think Aaron had another moment just now where he kept it real. Like, he's a different dude. Like, I think Aaron gets a pass because, I think in this climate we can talk about race. Aaron's a white quarterback, so he gets away with a lot of stuff. But I think they don't like how Aaron carries himself, and Aaron don't give a shit. Aaron's going to do what's best for Aaron and say what's best for Aaron and speak what's on his mind. And I always tip my hat to him for that. And I just think he's a real dude. I appreciate his words. I appreciate everything he had to say, and he's right. Like, we're criticized. They tried to say all this and everything to change the subject to avoid having the conversation, but the days of avoiding the conversation are over. We are having this
Mhm.
conversation. We are going to talk about this. We are going to be with open minds. We're going to talk. We're going to work and make sure that we can do this together. So my hat's off to Aaron. I appreciate his words, and that's what we need. We need players like it can't just be the black players speaking up. It needs to be the high profile white athletes to come out and speak up and speak on this matter. And I'm very appreciative of Aaron Rodgers for what he had to say.
Yeah, like George says, man, I commend Aaron Rodgers for what he said. It shows that there's hope for a change with the high-profile white athletes acknowledging that there's a problem here. And in order for change to occur, number one, you must acknowledge it, you must educate yourself, and you must speak up. And when you speak up, just understand that your white privilege, doesn't match what the African American experience is. So the fact that you are acknowledging that there is a problem, that's the first step. So Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, those are the only ones that come to mind at the moment. I appreciate them being leaders of this new movement, this new cause, and they just have to keep doing what they're doing, and hopefully that will rub off on other high-profile white athletes. And over time, this is something that we build on.
I think Aaron Rodgers did exactly what he should do. He didn't provide any answers, and we're not asking for answers.
Mm-hmm.
He became an ally in for his teammates and for the black community. We just need, like y'all said, educate yourself about it. Acknowledge that there is an issue, because that's the biggest thing. Most people won't even acknowledge that it is an issue, and speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't worry about the backlash you're gonna get on your social media. Speak up. You know what your teammates are going through. You with them every day. You eat together. You go to war together. You party together. You celebrate. You go through troubles. You go through trials and tribulations. Speak up for these people. Locker room say that they're brothers. Speak up for them. Don't just speak up for your side of it. Acknowledge that there's a completely different side. We see things differently. It's clear that things are seen differently. So just speak up about it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with y'all in a sense. I'm still kind of holding out judgment on the whole situation. I do acknowledge him, speaking up and just basically stating that there is an issue and he needs to be fixed. I just kind of want to hold out judgment on the whole situation until this plays out a little bit longer, just to see how if these people that are speaking out really put in the work that they said they're going to do. Because it's easy to say that they're going to do this and speak out, and but we've all seen instances of these things keep happening. They occur way too often. A situation like George Floyd, it's just now this is so blatant that you really have to speak out against this, or people are going to question like, what side are you really on? Because something like this is like you can't really debate what happened. It's like a man got murdered on camera and the cop was on his neck for 8 minutes 46 seconds. I mean, that's just so blatant. You have to acknowledge that. So I do appreciate him speaking out, and I do think Aaron Rodgers gets sometimes a bad rap, but I just want to see what these quarterbacks or high profile white athletes are really going to do moving forward to continue to speak out against this injustices, and see if they'll just put their money where their mouth is, in a sense, to see if they're really going to support the black community like they say they will. So we'll see. So, but I do appreciate him making that statement. So I'll say that.
Yeah. Like I said, it's gonna take. Like I agree with you, Steve. It's gonna take to see to make sure that people actually are doing the things that, you know, they say that they want to do. And like, to be honest, like, that's all I want. I just wanted the acknowledgement. I just hated for the fact that for the longest people act like when the Black Lives Matter movement started, when Colin first brought up, you know, social injustice and, you know, police brutality and stuff like that. Everybody tried to act like this stuff just wasn't happening. That's the thing that baffled me. I'm like, what world are y'all living in? Like, do y'all not see this stuff? Like, why is everybody acting like what we're talking about is such an anomaly? Like, this stuff is real and it's been happening for a very long time. And
Mhm.
you know, I don't
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
don't do the
it's
whole
sad.
bad apple thing. It was like, oh, you know, it's a bad apple and everything. Well, my whole thing was, and I've had this conversation with my father. All listeners who know me personally, my dad was a cop for over 30 years and he retired. And like, me and him have had these conversations, and like, some people do and some people don't. But I felt like the vast majority of police officers would not speak up on these issues, but they finally are now. There's a lot of young. It started with the
Mhm.
police officers, and they're speaking up, saying that, you know, that's not how we're trained. That's not how things need to be handled. That's not how we want to do, because it is. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like we don't need police officers. Nobody ever said we didn't need police officers. We just need police officers to not kill unarmed black people. That's what we just need. You know, we just
Yeah,
need them to do their job. And what was caught on video with George Floyd was not somebody doing their job. That was a murderer who sat there.
yeah,
And the thing about it, we all knew he knew he was being recorded and didn't care. Like, had no remorse, no care in the world. And like,
yeah. That's man.
that's that's the
That's
sad part about it.
yeah, right. I mean, it like you said, man. I mean, it was so bold and blatant. I mean, you on camera and with your hands in your pocket. And I mean, you know somebody recording you. That's why I just
And it was
it,
several people there saying, "Hey man, he's not saying anything. He's not breathing. Y'all need to check on him." And they still didn't do nothing.
Stone Cold didn't move, didn't even acknowledge it. There was a nurse there saying you need to check his pulse. No one checked his
right,
pulse.
right. And she pleaded a couple times for her to, you know, at least let her go over there and check. I mean, they didn't even allow her to go over there and check. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Get,
disgusting, man.
you gotta get them type of people out of there. You gotta get them cats out of there. And
Yeah.
one thing, like I said, I think one of the realest tweets, and I know there's a lot of memes going on out floating around, but like, black people, we're just asking to be treated equal, for people to be held accountable. We're not asking for revenge or to make up for the years of bullshit that we've been through. We're just asking for shit to stop.
But if it keeps going on, it's gonna get to that point.
I know.
Because you can only ask somebody to stop hitting you in the face so many times before you swing back. You got to defend yourself.
Have to.
Have to.
And then you look at, I saw today in that Ahmaud Arbery case that one of the defendants is actually on I don't know if it was on camera, but the guy who was recording testified, said that he said fucking nigger when he stood over him after he shot him. But people always like to say it's not racial. These things just happen, right? Wrong place, wrong time. But then when the truth comes out, it's like, oh, we didn't know that. It's always in your face. You just don't want to pay attention to it.
Right.
The days of living in denial are over for everybody. The days of living in denial are over. Like, everybody gotta open your eyes and see what's going on, and acknowledge it, and acknowledge that it's wrong. And you know, one of the things, like, I don't want to go too far off to get into like the president. The president has made a strong segment of America feel like it's okay to be a racist, because people have been racist for a long time, and they were like closet racist. But racists are there for, like, it was the entire length of his presidency. I felt like racist men and women in America walk out the house with their chests up high, like, I can be racist. It doesn't matter, and
it's okay.
And it's okay. And that's why we're at where we're at now. Because feel like, I'm not saying everybody that supports Donald Trump is a racist. Did not say that. Not comment. Oh, you're not going to misconstrue my words. No, me. I'm not saying
clarification on here. We must.
Clarification. I am not saying that. If you listen to us,
just about 90%.
You support Donald Trump. That's on you. But there are a large number of people who do support him, and they're racist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the reason they support him.
Right. I mean, because he really don't speak out against racism as a president of the United States should. I mean, all these issues, he really has not even said, we need some type of police reform. He ain't really been calling for peace, amongst the people or anything. I mean, it's just like he just want chaos, and then it's like his whole narrative is, okay, these thugs out here looting, when they start looting, we gonna shoot, whatever he said.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, he just gonna tear gas the people for this little whack photo op that he had when he's not even really a Christian. Or, I mean, it's just so much like he don't speak out against anything like a real president should. So it's like y'all said, it's like he is kind of giving these people the okay to do what he does. It's like, okay, the president looks this way, so he views the country this way, so why can't I? I'm in line with the president of the United States, so what's wrong with that? So it's just like, go ahead.
When the white supremacists were protesting in Charlottesville and actually killed somebody, he said some of them were very fine people. But we're out there protesting inequalities and police brutality, and we're thugs, which we all know is a code word for nigger. They just use thugs now. But it's that simple fact right there shows you that he may not be racist, but he has racist ways. I mean, it's always in your face, but I don't understand how people don't see it or choose not to see it.
Because as long as it's not happening to them, they can rebuttal it.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
It's not happening to them.
It's not our problem.
Exactly.
They should have been out there anyway.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have had a counterfeit bill.
Yeah.
Right.
He shouldn't have been out with trying to get some Skittles in Arizona with his hood on.
What's crazy is we will get killed, and they will go back and find stuff from years in the past to justify somebody being killed. That don't make sense. It makes no sense. You should not be killed and then be on trial for getting killed.
Exactly. Right. And I knew they was going to do this with George Floyd. I'm like, watch, they're going to go and try to find something out from his past that they're going to throw up, in the media just to, make him look bad in the media. And that don't have anything to do with why he was killed. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't want to cut anybody off, but we're going to jump off and take a quick break right quick. When we get back, we're going to dive right back into just how we feel about everything that's going on. Maybe drop some recommendations for change and stuff like that, and what we're going to do moving forward, and get back into our list and talk about the NBA and the NFL and stuff like that. So quick break, and we'll be right back.
Get started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Loyal Sons podcast. We are back with it after a quick little break. I had to go. Everybody was drinking. Had to go get me some. I got some strawberry lemonade and some Kilo. That's what I got.
I'm still on my aguinada, yeah.
Got a little vino over here, but I'm about out.
Ladies, if you watching this, don't let Denzel fool y'all if y'all don't know Denzel. Like, Denzel only works out on the weekends.
They know you ain't telling the truth.
Is there a workout on every day to end in Y?
Right. You just check the IG. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. But we starting back, Denzel. I'm gonna let you kick it off, man. Since you want to talk about a team that's very near and dear to your heart, I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick that one off.
So go ahead and introduce exactly what this guy said. All right.
We talking about the Knicks or we talking about Dabo?
Talking about the Knicks.
Oh, what did he say?
All right. So I'm gonna just jump into it. How I felt about it. If you don't know who the next president is, James Dolan. James Dolan, James Dolan, James Dolan. If your intent was to stay silent, you should have just done that. With everything going on in the world, you should have just kept your mouth shut. That's how I feel. But once again, you proved over the years that you know nothing about basketball. You proved you know nothing about winning. And you proved here that you don't care about the social issues that 90% of your team, well, I would like to say almost 100% of your team is African-American.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care what they go through on a daily basis. It's a shame. It's a shame that you can own a franchise in a city that is culturally diverse, which is New York City. And you can utter the words that you did. So with that being said, you stated that you're not qualified anyone else to offer an opinion about social matters. Your insensitive and dismissive responses prove to me that you're not qualified to own a basketball team, especially the New York Knicks.
You just now.
So I promised the brothers. I promised the brothers this. You know, this is breaking news. As long as James Dolan is the owner of the New York Knicks, I will no longer be a fan of the New York Knicks.
Wait, that's a good thing for you though. But I will applaud you on that.
Right.
I've been there through the struggles. I turned the blind eye to it.
You cannot be
I turned the other cheek.
You cannot be a Brooklyn
I
Nets.
can no longer turn the other cheek when it comes to this. This is disgusting, and he needs to be gone.
Just to provide some humor, even though I know this is not a humorous situation, you have to be a Phoenix Suns fan now. You can't go from the bottom to the top.
Here are your options: Phoenix, Sacramento,
Atlanta, since you live there.
Right. And the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, choose wisely.
At this very moment,
and I'll throw it a bonus one: Chicago Bulls.
There you go.
At this very moment, I'm just gonna be a free agent. I'm gonna observe. You know, I like some players. Damian Lillard is one of my favorites to watch. KD, you know, it's Brooklyn Nets. You know, who knows? Hey, don't even act like I haven't been a KD fan.
A little bit.
A little slight. I don't know about that. I ain't heard you talking about KD too much, especially when we were in OKC. I don't remember.
Hey, I was going for them. I was going for them when they went up against the Heat.
That's the only reason why he was going. Right. But I will say, in regards to the Knicks, it's surprising that he would say stuff like that because he's one of the few owners who give minorities positions of power in the organization. From coaches to GMs to presidents, he gives minorities, in particular African Americans, position of power. So for somebody that's going to do that, you would think that they would be more empathetic to the situation that all of us are going through. But he completely just said, nah, I don't care about none of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess basically him saying that they you know, they're not qualified just kind of threw everything out the window. I mean, because you don't have to be qualified to make a statement. You know what I'm saying? Like all you have to do is say, I stand by my black players or, you know, African-American employees and players that's going through this hard time. And we will support them in whatever they need and leave it at that. You don't have to make this long statement and, you know, be all technical and say all these words. Just say something simple as that and say that you support the movement or, you know, you support your employees and players and then move on. So for him to be like, you know, they're not qualified, that's just kind of like a slap in the face because you have all these black employees, black players that's on, you know, under you that's a part of this organization. And for you to say that, you know, they're not qualified, that's making it look like, we have, our word doesn't mean anything. Basically, you know, we're on a team, but, you know, we don't have no say so what goes on around here. So I think that was, you know, stupid of him to say that. So, I mean, I really don't know. I mean, maybe they do need some new ownership there just because it's always something seems to be going on with the Knicks, and it's just another case of that. So, I mean, I hate to say it, Giselle, but this might be the best move for you as far as a Knicks fan to go ahead and abandon ship right now.
You know, and I feel good about my decision. So I thought long and hard about it. You know, might have had a little yak in a Black and Mild while I was thinking about the situation, but I feel like I feel good about my decision. You know, and I'm going to take this time to seriously consider moving forward with another team. You know, Trae Young. You know, I wouldn't rock too much. I live in Atlanta. Trae Young is an excellent player. I don't think he's going to be in Atlanta that much longer, unfortunately.
Before I say my piece on it, just know you can't come to LA. I'm gonna let you know that shit, right?
No, I don't want to.
I'm gonna put that out there right now. It's a waiting list right now. You have to pay your dues. You got to start out as a fan of the South Bay Lakers. You got to start out, work your way up. It's how it goes. G League team, WNBA, the Sparks. Then you can be a Lakers fan. If you
there you go.
This way, that's how you gotta. That's how you earn your stripes. But
something else. Yeah, something else.
James Dolan. I mean, what can I say? I mean, like the guy's consistently proven that if there was any question on what was wrong with the New York Knicks as a franchise, if you look at it, there's no reason why the Knicks shouldn't be successful other than him.
Who, as a superstar, who wouldn't want to live in New York?
Who wouldn't want to live in New York? KD and Kyrie proved we'll live in New York. We just don't want to play for that dude.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I've been to the Barclays. I've been to both MSG and the Barclays Center. The Barclays Center, to me, I'm not gonna lie, is one of the nicest arenas I've ever been into. Like, it's an amazing facility.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I've only been on the outside, but it is nice.
Yeah. I've been to the Nets practice facility out there, right there overlooking New York City. Another amazing facility. The Nets are a top-notch organization. I get it. But we're talking Madison Square Garden.
Downtown. Right there.
The Mecca.
Like,
right.
Newly renovated. Like, they completely gutted that thing out and redid it. That's a brand new building on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Like waiting list for season tickets. Like, no matter how bad you are, games are always sold out. Fans love you. Like, everything in New York, they love you in New York. They criticize you bad. They hold you accountable. But, like, so the fact that one man consistently is showing his true colors, like they say, it should only take once somebody shows you who they are, that's who they are. I don't know why we're expecting James Dolan to change.
Yeah.
And I know Adam Silver has a lot going. Not saying that something like this should be put on the back burner. Adam Silver has a lot going on, trying to get the NBA to just get back going. But he has shown us as a commissioner where he stands on these types of issues. So I potentially see something coming down the pipe at some point for James Dolan. It's just that, you know, I don't want to say this has to be put on the back burner, but like getting the league back up and running coming out of COVID-19 is very important. And this is something that nobody's necessarily has been prepared for. Because the NBA is going to be the first professional league in America to get back going. But I'm willing to bet you Adam Silver is going to address this at some point. And it has to be addressed, and it must be addressed. Like, as a player, I don't know how you go suit up and play for this organization again.
It'd be tough. And then if you're a free agent, you definitely don't want to go play for him.
If you're a free agent, you don't want to go. And if you're in a contract that you feel kind of stuck, like, damn, I'm stuck. But then, like, it's like, oh, my time up, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
But
when I can go
it goes
hop
back
on the subway and play for a team that appreciates me.
Yeah. But I take it back to the Drew Brees things that were talked about in the first segment of the show. Like, as much as we want to see people coming out and being more like the Aaron Rodgers and speaking up, We need the Drew Brees comments. We need the James Dolan comments to make sure that the narrative doesn't get lost, that this is a systemic problem. People are programmed this way, and we have to stop programming ourselves and our young people to think this way, so when we move forward in the future, things can be better for everybody. And then the people that continue to think this way, as we continue to make change, that's when you need, like somebody, president saying, get that son of a bitch out of here. Instead of somebody trying to talk about a problem that's affecting this country. People that don't want to get on board, if you ain't with us, get gone.
Against us. That's what they were saying. It's no more straddling the fence. You can't be a quarterback of a predominantly black team and act like you don't have an opinion on anything that's going on.
Yeah.
That's done.
Yeah.
I think they proved that, because had this been even last year and Drew Brees would have made that statement, nothing would have happened.
No.
Nothing would have happened.
Uncle Shannon said he need to retire. I agree with Uncle Shannon.
Yeah.
Uncle need to go.
Drew need to go have a conversation with his offensive lineman and then determine if he need to retire.
Yeah.
Based on that conversation.
That's really what you need to do.
He was like, how y'all feeling? Where y'all heads at? Okay, I'm out. Okay, I get it. I got it.
First preseason game, before they go out, they were like, they're going to be like, Jameis, stay loose.
Yeah. How your own feeling?
Right.
We can move on, man. Dabo Swinney had a lot of a backlash this week. It's really two parts to it. He was asked for his response to the George Floyd murder, and basically he went the Dabo Swinney route that he always does. He said, well, there are people there that's going to be evil, and basically we just need to pray and pray for things to get better. And I feel like that's Dabo's way of getting out of everything that he doesn't want to talk about. You go into these players' homes, you tell their parents that you're going to take care of them. You know they don't look like you. You're taking them to Clemson, South Carolina, whose founder was very racist. And then when something like this happens, you don't support them. You basically turn your back on them and use your own agenda, because you know that's what he does. It's always about that with Dabo. And then the second thing that happened with Dabo is a few years ago, he had one of his assistant coaches actually call a player a nigger, and that coach is still on the staff. Didn't do anything, didn't fire him, nothing. So how we feel about Dabo?
Man, I think he got to get up out of there, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to say it, but honestly, how can I trust you as a parent? I'm about to send my son down there to South Carolina. He probably maybe never have been to this little, town. I mean, Clemson.
There's people from South Carolina that ain't been to Clemson.
Right. If you don't have no business there, you
can count on one hand.
Yeah,
exactly.
Me too.
I've never been.
About three for me. About three for me too.
Maybe about 3 or 4 times for me. So I mean, it's just sad that like somebody called one of your players a nigga, and they still on the staff right now. I mean, the report's just coming out, so this may have happened a couple years ago. So y'all just kind of swept that under the rug, and that just means that y'all care more about winning and the team's image than doing what's right. So you can't come into my home and try to tell me that, oh, my son isn't gonna matter there when you allowing this to go on in the program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they won a couple championships since he got there, and they got a winning culture. But I mean, at what cost is it? Is it at expense of making black players uncomfortable? Now I got to question that. So, I mean, I think he got to go. I mean, if this is, I don't know if the player, whoever it happened to, could come out and speak about it. But if it can be proven, I think he got to go just because of the culture and everything. And that's if these schools are serious about supporting, the black students and everything that's going on. Are you gonna jeopardize the program just because he's a winner, or are you just gonna allow whatever to go on there? Especially something like that. You call somebody a nigga. I mean, that's one of the most ultimate disrespects for somebody black, and then you allow that person to remain on staff. I mean,
there's no coming back from that.
I mean, I don't really see how you can really work around that. I mean, because to me, you allowing that player to stay. I mean, the coach to stay on staff means you agree with that, and he's still there. So that means that you got some of that in you. So that's why I say he got to go. I mean, if you could allow something like that to happen, man, and then you're gonna use the Bible for earlier, like you said, the first point, you're gonna say there's some evil out there. I mean, but you don't even acknowledge what's going on, and you got all these black players on staff. I mean, he way out.
Acknowledge the evil. Talk about it.
He way out of touch. He way out of touch for me. So
Mhm.
I mean, I think he gotta go. I mean, but I mean, he probably won't. But that's just my opinion.
As somebody who works in college athletics, I retweeted a post a couple days ago. I need these white coaches to speak up because y'all going in these black athletes' living rooms, promising their mothers and their fathers, or the ones with just mothers, because as we've seen on, when it comes to, George Floyd, what they do to our fathers,
Mhm.
You have to speak up. Like, I get, like, you have your ways and stuff like that, but like, if you don't want to speak up, then go do something else. Go coach somewhere else. Go coach somewhere else where you don't have to worry about and make these promises and make these commitments and stuff like that. I would just like to say, like, and I've spoken to my boss and my AD, Thor Beyond. He's great. He's a great guy, and he's allowed me to like always be myself. And like, I'm the only black administrator on my athletic department staff, so I always felt that it was my duty to be there for these black student athletes because, like we said, you're recruiting these kids who's coming from most likely places where they've never seen that many white people in one area before, and it's a culture change for them. And you expect me to believe that, that you care about them, but you can't speak on this issue? Like, nah, bro. Like, I've seen people who I'm around people. I work with people who genuinely care about student athletes and stuff like that. I mean, Rhode Island, we're nowhere near on the level of Clemson, but like, we care about our student athletes, and I've seen it with my own two eyes. Like you have to bring people in and nurture them, make them feel comfortable because it is a culture change, and we're gonna continue. I know you're right. We're gonna continue to do better and do better things to make sure that our students coming from all different ethnic backgrounds feel comfortable when they come on campus. And for Dabo to not even have the courage to speak up and say, something other than just it's evils out there. You can't hide behind the Bible forever. Like, that's
Mhm.
not what the Bible was made for. Like, you need to muster up and speak. As far as the coach and the staff saying nigga and dropping the N-bomb and stuff like that motherfucker gotta go.
Mhm.
He gotta go. He should have been gone. And the fact that you didn't let him go then, it just like I said, college coaches and college sports, time and time, prove over and over again when it comes down to the arguments of paying the players and doing certain things and all this other kind of stuff, prove time and time again that this is not about education. This is not about, making a better life. This is about wins and losses, and this is about money.
Mhm.
On that level of athletics. And it's time to take that out of it. Like, I think we're heading in a direction where players are going to start getting paid for their likeness and stuff like that. And I feel that stuff is great. And I'm all for that kind of stuff. But if you're any type of coach and you're going into black families' homes, it's your duty to be there for your student because they're sometimes miles away from home. So they look at whoever's around them as that parental type figure. And you have to be there for them. And times of need right now, like, I understand he said it to the media, and I would hope that when he's meeting his players face to face, he's having a different conversation. But even then, when you're that high profile of a coach, you have to use that media platform to say something. Like, you have to say something positive. I'm not asking you to go in depth. I'm not asking you to go out and fix this problem, but say something more than just, we gotta pray. Yeah, everybody knows we gotta pray. Dabo, we've been praying. We need action. We need action behind the prayer.
You have to apply.
Just
You have to apply those prayers.
Yeah, just how you pray that you got the job in Clemson. You didn't pray that you got the job in Clemson, get the job at Clemson, and not do shit. You put action behind your prayer, didn't you?
What it said about Bible, faith without works is dead. So we can have all the faith we want, but if we don't have a plan in place, or more importantly, if that was you, the head coach of that team, the head man of that organization, if you don't have a plan in place, none of that praying or anything is going to work.
Yeah, I want to hear your plan. And if you don't have one at the time, say that.
Say that. Say it.
Say we have, you know, we're going to pray this, but we have to come up with a plan. Do I have the plan right now? No, but we're going to do something. That's fine. Because guess what? I don't have a plan. Nobody on this chat has a plan. Nobody has a plan, but we're starting the conversation. I feel like Dabo always skates around the conversation. He did the same thing with the Kaepernick situation. He does the same thing with the pay for play situation. He skates around the answer. No, there's no more skating around the answers. We got to answer these questions. We have to have the conversation.
That's what it is, and nobody wants to have it. But before we get to the quote of the episode, I feel like we also just give some personal reflections about everything that's going on. Izzy, you want to start it off?
Well, it definitely takes me back to childhood. Like a lot of us said, no matter where we come from, South Carolina, New York, wherever in the country, we've all experienced things. I guess my reflection growing up, the first time anything remotely racist I remember was maybe in 7th grade. So I remember growing up, just being naive and young, just always believing that racism doesn't exist in the North. So when it happened, it was definitely an eye-opener to me, and it just made me realize that yes, this is a lot bigger than just the South thing. This is the world, and our country. So just with everything going on, I just, like that, like the situation you said with Dabo praying. Yes, prayer helps us kind of alleviate what's going on, but you have to, what are you doing differently? And what I like, like you said, every Thursday, I look forward to these conversations with you guys because now we're utilizing our platform. And for our listeners and our viewers, this is an opportunity for you to kind of reflect on what we're talking about. You can relate to it, and we're projecting different images and whatever into your minds that, okay, we know we speak about sports, but we're Black. And we can't act like we don't see what's going on, because this is something that we've experienced as kids. Now we're seeing it as men, and for the better part, we're 30 plus years old now. So the last time there was a riot like this was Rodney King. That was 25 plus years ago. Whatever. You could take it back to the civil rights. That was 30 years before that. It's really building 30. And way even before our time, before our parents' time, before our grandparents' time, it's not changing. Mm-hmm. So what I'm seeing differently now is, again, we're starting to see people are starting to understand what we're going through, and that's a small change. And I definitely appreciate that. But again, this is a start. So whatever platform, I challenge anybody out here, whatever platform you have, don't be afraid to speak up. because if we ever are silent about these things, trust me, we'll be having this conversation 30 years from now.
Same conversation. Man,
so don't be afraid to speak up.
I grew up in the metropolis of Emmons, South Carolina, and for people that know me, they know I pretty much wear that on my back. I'm not ashamed of that. I yell it out. I got hats that say Emmons' very own. But in growing up in Emmons, it was very diverse, but also it was tough. I've definitely been called a nigga before by white people. I've had a little girl call me nigga to my face and tell me, no, it's okay. My mom said I can call you that. And so just dealing with that type of stuff growing up is rough because you get to a point where you can't. It's like, man, I'm tired of fighting them. I'm tired of getting mad about it. But it gets you to a point where it's almost uncontrollable anger because as kids you don't know how to handle that. Like you just know that word sets you off. And then now I'm tired of having to explain our situation to people that don't look like us because I know that they understand what's going on. I'm tired of having to explain the reason for the protests and the riots when you know that the murder is the reason for that, but you completely ignore the murder, ignore the murderers, plural. You ignore all of that and you focus on the riots because that is something that you can live with. And at this point, man, I'm just tired of having to go back and forth. You see people and they're so bold behind keyboards saying, I'm not going to stop for protesters. And this is another thing. White people feel like they're second in command with the police. They feel like if the police aren't going to handle something, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to handle it. Y'all aren't second in charge. Y'all don't get to this. These aren't just your streets. Sometimes you can just sit back and just do nothing. Because that's what you do when situations really matter. You don't do anything to help us. So when something's not going your way, do the same thing. Let us protest. Let us riot. Let us try to get our point across, even though it's not. And maybe you'll learn something.
Yeah, man. I mean, like y'all been saying, I mean, just growing up, you know, especially in Orangeburg, I mean, you know, that's where I'm born and raised. So
the second bird.
Yeah, not a real bird, you know, but we ain't gonna get into that. But I mean, it's just so many instances where, you know, growing up, especially in the South, like you just kind of get used to racism. I mean, it's hard for me to say that, but I mean, that's just the kind of reality growing up. I mean, you just kind of condition yourself to how you should react in certain situations, and when you get around certain people, you know, how you should move and, you know, conduct yourself. But I mean, you know, I've experienced several instances of racism growing up. You know, I don't need to really go into too much detail. I mean, because, you know, it's just that common, you know, so it's not like it's you know, something rare. But I'll just say right now, I mean, with the riots and the protests and everything going on, a lot of people say they're not for the looting, but I mean, at this moment, I'm feeling like it takes something like this to get America to wake up and, you know, recognize and see what's going on. And this one does feel different just because of it seemed like a lot of people are jumping on board and a lot of people are supporting the movement right now. But to me, in a sense, it kind of gives me a false sense of security in a sense. So I mean, I'm grateful for it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, is it just a trend or a fad, or, you know, is this thing gonna be a long-term, you know, goal or solution for us?
Good point.
I have to open myself up to actually be accepting of people who want to speak out and, you know, wanting change. So I have to kind of open myself up to that because, you know, that's something we're not really used to because, you know, we all been hearing like, oh, it's gonna change, things gonna be different, or we expecting for change or hoping for change, but it's always, you know, the same situation, just a little bit different scenario. So that's one thing I gotta open up myself to be like, okay, well, maybe people actually do want to support this and are willing to change. Just because, you know, like at work, I had a couple coworkers, reach out and just say like, they support, you know, what's going on and everything, and they they want to speak out in whatever way they can. So they're reaching out and saying they don't agree with that, and I take it and I appreciate the gesture and everything like that. But I'm kind of skeptical, like I said. So I have to realize I gotta accept these things, and and something. I mean, and look at it as people are really trying to change a bit. So and then for the listeners out there who don't know, I mean, I have two sons, so it just some of these things that's going on really concern me. Growing up, my dad wasn't really around like that to teach me everything that I need to know in certain situations. Sometimes I knew what to do, but in certain situations, like you have to be prepared to how to interact with the cops, and that's just a difficult conversation that you really shouldn't be having to have with kids at a young age, but it's something you really have to get them prepared for. So that's something that's weighing in on me as well. So I'm hoping things will change, so the next generation will have a better life where they don't get nervous around the police just for a routine traffic stop or whatever. You shouldn't really be nervous when you interact with the cops, but that's just the reality that we face. We don't have to be doing anything and you be afraid. But so I'm hoping for a real change. So it's just those are some of the things that have been weighing on my mind. So it's this, us doing the podcast is definitely a good way for us to kind of get those things out and talk about them. So I'm definitely was looking forward to this week's episode because I knew we was going to, speak on this stuff. So, I mean, overall, I'm glad that a lot of people are supporting this movement and joining us. So that's something I'm looking forward to, and hopefully that this will be an agent for change, and this thing will be long lasting, and we can get some real, some real movement out of this. I'm hoping for some type of police reform that can really come out of this thing, but we'll see. But I believe a good police reform will definitely be a good start.
Well, everything that's going on now, just like I never in a million years, like after hearing like stories of like what my grandparents went through, and then the little bit that they did teach us in school, being in the South and stuff like that, that I would potentially be in the middle of a civil rights movement myself. And, you would think and hope that, we would be farther along as a society, but we're not. We still got a long way to go. And growing up in Charleston, South Carolina, and yeah, I was called a nigga in middle school, like multiple times. Like it was like it was okay. And you kind of, and it's sad because you do kind of get numb to it. Numb is just like it's how they act. This is what they are. Um, you just always hoping, and it's kind of like what LeBron posted. Like, why do they hate us? Like, what do we do that instilled this level of hatred that was instilled in you? Like, I got friends that like, and the sad part about it is I got friends that you grew up with, that you remember from like elementary school, where you're like, your mind is young and you're pure and you just cool and having a good time, and you grow up and you see them now and it's kind of just like they're a totally different person. And it reminds you that racism is taught. It's not, no, we're not born to hate each other. Like, and you, like, on my Instagram post earlier today, it's time for America to start buying what it's been selling. America runs around the whole world telling everybody we're free, we're the greatest country, we're the greatest land in the world and stuff like that. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Time for America to stop buying what it's been selling. Liberty and justice for all of its citizens. And like, the thing that baffles me is like, you know, I can understand I can understand where a white male, if you've been propelled up top and been on top of this pedestal forever. Like, so why would you want to give that up? Like, I understand the thought process of some of them wanting to fight to the death of that. But like when it comes to everybody else, like, no, like we're all like on the same plan. We all have the same goals and aspirations. And like, we're just asking for an equitable share.
Mhm.
We just want to be on the same playing field as everybody else. I want to be able to walk around with a hoodie on and not worry about somebody, profiling me. I want to walk on the elevator and somebody not clutch their purse because I'm just a black man walking on the elevator. I want to be able to, you know, if I get pulled over, to know probably was because I was going 90 and 65. But and not necessarily worry like when they get to the thing, like, I pulled you over. Yes, I know why. But I want to have the same, non-fears as everybody else. And that's really all I'm asking for. I'm not asking to be put in front of anybody else. I'm just asking to be treated fair. And I don't feel that's too much to ask for. And I hope that, and I'm not gonna lie, right now, the way I feel right now, we'll see how I feel that right now, I do feel some people that are speaking out, I'm not gonna say all, but some people who are speaking out are very genuine. And I can't speak for the group, but I have white friends, white colleagues who have reached out to me and checking on my well-being and my concern. And they've been vocal, they've been expressing their feelings and stuff like that. And I feel that most of them are very genuine in their actions. But like I said, it just can't stop. Like it has to keep going. Like I can't lead this charge. Y'all have to lead this. This is one of the instances where white America has to lead this charge and black America has to follow. That's the only way this is gonna to change. We gotta get our damn vote. Elections coming up in November, y'all. Vote. And not just vote. Like we need to look at these, politicians and hold them all accountable. Democrats included too. I've never considered myself a Democrat. Have I voted Democrat since the two major elections that I've been eligible to vote? Well, three. Two Obamas and the last one with Trump and Hillary. Yes, I have, but that's because I align more with their ideologies and everything. I didn't agree with everything that Obama or Hillary said, but when I sat down and looked at what my pros and cons, and that's what we have to do. We have to actually sit down and see what they're running on and stuff like that. And you can't afford to be bought. I've seen people and heard people say, well, Trump's done this for black people. And like, I'm looking into it now. But as of right now, I need to know what policy was put in place that he so-called had done so much for black people. Because from what I know, a lot of Obama's policies didn't expire until 2017, 2018. Trump signed them in the law, but people understand just because he signed the right thing, just with anything, it doesn't take effect just then. So if the policy that Obama had in place didn't stop until about a year ago, and the new policy is just now being implemented, that's when I need to see that. That's how I look at change. So you can't piggyback off of what somebody else did, and just because it happened while you were in charge doesn't mean you're responsible for it. So yeah, you missed me with that. Like I don't buy into all of that. So, and I can't be bought, first of all. I will say that he did hold up at the end of the ball game when it came to HBCU funding somewhat. I know some funding has come into HBCU since Trump been in office and stuff like that. Gonna look into it a little bit more to make sure that was actually him. So before I give him any credit, and I'm the type of person I'll give credit when credit is due. But at the end of the day, his actions as a man, as the leader of this country, I just can't get down with it. I'm never gonna support it. You can't buy my support. Like you buy my support with your actions and how you treat people. And right now, he treats people like shit. He treats people like they're dummies, and he only appears to one segment of the country. He only appears to people who support you. When you become the president of the United States, you are no longer just for the people who voted for you. You are for everyone. And that's what we're lacking right now. And that's why the global pandemic was shitty. We handled that. And that's why everything that's going on right now with the George Floyd protest is going the way it's going right now. Just because we lack improper leadership. And that's why voting is important. So everybody that took 2016 off and didn't vote, 2020, right now, November, you need to see all ass at the polls. COVID-19 or not, everybody mask up. And if we got to do 6 feet spacing on lines and lines are 10 miles long, guess what? We're going to have to wait in them damn lines and vote.
Gotta get it done.
We got to get it done.
Definitely.
It has to be done. But that's just my piece on it. I'm hoping and praying. I'm going to remain optimistic that it's a better day. I'm doing more than dabble. I'm doing more than just praying. I'm putting action behind my prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's going to take. Action, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to take action.
Denzel, go ahead and hit us with it, man.
All right, so quote that stuck in my mind is from one of my favorite movies growing up, Boys in the Hood. So either they don't know, don't show, or they just don't care about what's going on in the hood. And that came from Doughboy after he lost his brother to the street violence in LA. And them talking about what's going on in wars and what's going on outside of the country, but not acknowledging what's going on in our own neighborhoods in America. So with everything that's going on today, I decided to just edit that a little bit. So took the original quote and just kind of interjected more about what's going on today. And either they don't know, and even if they do show, it's obvious that they don't care what's going on in the hood. And that's with the recordings of police killing African Americans or citizens becoming vigilantes and killing. It's being recorded now. We see it, and for the most part, they're not being punished for what they're doing. So, with everything being said now, and the murderers of George Floyd, all 4 officers being arrested now, being charged. I'll never forget. I talk to anyone I talk to about anything dealing with these situations. I'll never forget. First time I met Steve, we went to Charlotte. We had a good weekend.
Martin.
We were
at Steve's crib.
We were all sitting in your living room, Steve, and we got the verdict. The silence that was going on in that room, we all felt that aggression and anger, that there's no way that a vigilante, not even an officer of the law, could hunt down an unarmed child.
Kid.
Hasn't even really begun his life yet.
Kid.
And they killed him, and he got away with that. I'll never forget the looks on each and every one of y'all faces.
Hurt, bro.
The Christian's face.
We didn't have no words.
It was dead silence in your apartment. I'll never forget that.
That's deep, bro. That's real deep. I'm not gonna lie, like I think it happens so much. You try to block them out every time something like that happens, and like you just said it. I remember we were all sitting there, and it was just like, wow. We had to go. We got really drunk that night. I think everybody just had to be literally just like, I got it.
Yeah, just had to. You had to deal with it the best way we could at the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not condoning drinking while I sip. That's about we sip our drink on the show. But
mine gone, so I'm back on the water.
Still drinking water.
Yeah. But thanks everybody again for tuning in. We hope that you continue to grow with us. You know, comment, like, share. Share with your friends. Send it, send it around to people that you know and stuff like that. Give us a listen. Um, always give us more topics. We're really loving it. Like I think everyone said it. Like Thursday is a day that I think we all look forward to, because we know it's going to be a day that the four of us can get together and fellowship and talk about the thing that we love the most, which is sports. But we knew today we had to talk a little bit more about sports. As black men, there's no way we couldn't talk about what was going on today
Exactly.
in the world. So,
Yeah, man.
just want to say, I love y'all boys, and
Like too, man.
Love
For y'all too, man.
yeah,
Love y'all.
everybody stay safe out there, and keep doing. We're gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and everybody, everybody, keep your head up, keep fighting a good fight, and we'll get through this in good time. We're gonna demand change. We're not gonna let anybody change the narrative, and we're gonna demand change.
That's it.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right, man. Y'all be easy.
All right, y'all.
And for the people that are still watching us, yes, I did get a cut. Yes, thank God.
Everybody, my hair's growing. I'm walking the club, shaking my dreads. Almost, I'm getting there.
I did get a cut. Iron still ball.
I got the COVID cut, but I got a recent cut.
Yeah, we all gotta see our barbers.
I'm going tomorrow, but it ain't gonna make a difference up top.
But Iron's a person like who I know everybody like when you at waiting on the barber and you sitting there and the person that goes before you sits in the chair and say, "What are you doing here?"
Hey, I gotta get this lined up, man.
Yeah, I know, man.
Jamming the whole lineup. I'm like, "Hey man, look at you.
Me too. Me too.
It's a three-way mirror.
Like-
You do that shit at home on your own time."
Like everybody else say, it's my right to get this shit up.
Right.
All right, fellas.
All right, y'all.
Y'all take it easy. Peace.
Yep.